Hello, beautiful souls. It's Dr. Danny, physician astrologer, live again for a Venus transmission. We are broadcasting to YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. So I got all three done before we went live today, which is awesome. Um, Today we're going to talk about Venus. Venus has been through such a tremendous part of her cycle and through Pisces, nonetheless, with a Mercury retrograde, with two eclipses. We saw it coming. We went through it, and now we're here on the other side, and we still have quite a bit to do in Pisces with Venus. So I wanted to share that with you. We'll cover the time frame basically from tomorrow to about June 8th. Pluto just went retrograde today, or is stationing retrograde today and tomorrow, and then will be full on retrograde on Monday. This is also very interesting. I think what we find is that Pluto energy, if you're used to working with it, becomes a little bit easier. I do have a Pluto reading on my website if you guys are interested. It's called a Pluto alchemy reading. It comes with a very grounding meditation, and we look at Pluto in your chart, and it's pretty fantastic. And every time Pluto goes in retrograde, I offer that. So it's at drdanny.com if you're interested. A lot of people have some really good things to say about it. So yeah, we'll follow this energy. We're going to take we have a couple of transits that are waning right now, with Saturn, with Neptune, with the North Node. And as those energies wane, we are still in this beautiful trine to Mars. And we have been since probably January of this year. Under this underlying current of Venus and Mars moving retrograde and direct with one another, while at the same time maintaining this trine energy. And that's the common thread through this whole month. And then as we get past, once we have the full moon that's coming up, and then the sun shifts into Taurus, everything's going to shift. And then the end of the month will be very, very interesting with a square to Pluto. So we're going to talk about all of that. I do have a little bit of decoding in here. There's still some transmissions coming through with that white serpent, white dragon energy that is so very much Venus in Pisces. So let's see who's here today. Who's here? We have Ultimus. Hello. Thank you for the 5x5. We have Lori from Washington. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see. Brian Hardy. Hello, Brian. Lady Spellbreaker is here. Greetings, beautiful souls. Born Under a Wandering Star says, hello, everyone. Awesome. So happy to see all of you here. This is so great. I really miss doing lives with you guys. I wish I could do them every other day, but there's so many other creative things that I'm working on. I feel like there's been over the course of the last couple of months through these retrogrades, there's been an enormous internal expansion and purging with my own energy, and I'm really excited to see what manifests externally with it. So I have just a few announcements, if you guys don't mind. I'd love to just kind of run through some stuff with you. A lot of exciting things going on. I promise I won't hammer these too much, but to be able to do all this work and to put the creative work that goes on in my mind and in my heart out there is just so wonderfully exciting. So most of you know that the book launched last weekend. It was a soft launch. I have the Audible book available for you, and I have the electronic version available for you. And about midweek, the print version became available. Now, I would love to do a show and tell and show it to you, but I don't have it yet, not until this coming weekend. So I should have my own paperback in my hand. But if you go to my website, you can go to the Amazon link. I'm sorry, I had to get in bed with the devil, Amazon, because they're the best out there and they have the best customer service. And the other publishers, while they are, sort of archaic models, they don't help you. They just don't. So I went with Amazon. So sorry about that. I'm not trying to get rich off this book. I just think that there isn't a consolidated piece of literature out there that talks about what we talk about here amongst ourselves, about the fourth dimension, about our soul guided journey, about waking up as a physical human being, what that means spiritually for you. And I think putting some science behind it helps, and then understanding that journey, that last cosmic healer's journey, your last incarnation or the incarnation of the bodhisattva. That's what we go through, and we do it from an astrological viewpoint in that book. That's the middle chunk of the book. And then in the last part of the book, I take all the planets through Ophiuchus, each one. It's probably 2 or 3 pages, maybe 1,000 to 2,000 words on each one. And it's really, really accurate. It's amazing. So you get that part. And then at the very end of the book, we take it through the houses. So if you know your Ophiuchus placements, if you have stuff in your Ophiuchus, even if you don't, if you know the house, then you can read about yourself and then understand that where it fits in the larger journey. And then how in the world could this possibly work is what I try to explain in the book. So it is really phenomenal. I'm really excited to share that with you, and that's available. So please follow those links and get your copy. Hopefully, I get mine before you guys get yours. Um, I've enjoyed the process. It's been challenging. It's been an initiation. Whenever I deal with Ophiuchus energy, it always demands this purity and this level of sacrifice and initiation. Like, there's always some shadow work that I've got to do with it whenever I get really, really into Ophiuchus information, no matter how I do it. And so I just let spirit guide me. And it's been a whirlwind. It's been a journey. I am expecting that the Venus book will probably feel a little bit more gentle because her energy, which we're going to talk about today, is much better than the jarring Ophiuchus energy. That's like a death and a rebirth and a phoenix rising, whereas Venus energy is just allowing and letting it come into your field. So the next book will be about that, and I'm going to do that process just a little bit differently. We also, guys, stellar foundations with all the excitement with the book and all the shadow work I've been doing. I haven't really been talking up stellar foundations. We start next Monday. So on the full moon, we are going to open it up with our first office hours, and we're going to get to meet everybody, and we're going to get into our software. And then we're going to hit the ground running with Pluto week. This is a 13-week journey. It's fully immersive. The deal is I know not everybody's going to stick through it for the 13 weeks. It's hard to focus for that long. And I also know that some people will do it in a week or two. So the deal with stellar foundations is once you're in for as long as it serves you. So you can keep returning to the material. You can keep returning to our office hours. The software is yours forever. You also get a copy of the Ophiuchus book. You also have the Facebook group. You guys get really deep discounts on readings and future courses. So this is such an awesome program to get into if you can. I have payment options to make it as easy as possible for you. This is basically the culmination of the teaching work that I've done over the last couple of years. It's all in this one container. And I realize it can be pricey for some. So I've got Stellar Foundations Light this round. So if you want to do all that studying and embodying and digging and researching on your own, I'll give you my reading list. You can join us for the live classes, and you can also get the technical part of the course. And so I offer that to you for a monthly fee that's pretty reasonable. You'll basically get the level 1, 2, and 3 course plus the office hours, if you stick with us for the 4 months. So yeah, Lori says the office hours is golden. We're not trying to sell you or push you. It really was just an amazing experience to take the first group through Stellar Foundation. So please consider doing that. Early bird pricing ends on Monday. So, now is the time to make the decision to join us. And I really, really hope you do. I hope to see you there. If not the light option, I'm going to keep that open forever. So you guys can kind of jump in whenever you want, but do check it out. Okay. And then finally, memberships. So I am working on a new project for those of you that are members of this channel. Don't worry, you guys later you guys will get the content later if you don't join as a member. But the newer stuff that comes out, the inspired projects, this is Sun with Planet Cycles, and I want to call it something like the Sun Planet Cycles Divine Karma series. I just released the Sun Uranus and its Divine Metamorphosis. And what I describe in that video is the cycle of Sun with Uranus throughout the 370-day cycle. So Sun is going to conjunct Uranus on May 17th. And then over the next 370 days after that, I take you through Sun square Uranus, Sun golden angle Uranus, Sun trine Uranus, Sun oppose Uranus, and then also what that might mean if Sun is doing something to your natal Uranus and if transiting Uranus is doing something to your natal Sun. So it's about a 45, 50-minute lecture. If you want to join the channel and you want to support us for getting educational materials out there, this is how you do it. You join the channel and then you can go in and you can preview those videos early and then give me your feedback. I love hearing from you guys. So if not, you'll see it around mid-May. I'll release it for the public, but it's sort of stuff that we're working on with my students. So if you guys want to join and just kind of tag along and be a part of that, I'd love that. I'm also going to give members a little discount on readings too. I'll put it in the chat part where only the members will see. So if you want to grab my coupons, they're all going to be over there for you guys. And then the other one is if you want to gift memberships to people. Like you can gift a 1-month membership to people that you know online or people that are in the chat. That's always a really nice way to do it. And the memberships are not that expensive. So I'm not asking you to drop $1,000 or anything. If you have $20 in your pocket, you can buy, 4 memberships for other people that might want to, get into this part of it, being a member of the channel. So I'm planning on doing one on Jupiter. And then I'm going to do one on Mars and Pluto. I'm going to do all the outer planets. So basically from Mars to Pluto, we'll get a sun cycle analysis. And I'm calling it like the Divine Karma series because it's how the sun interacts with these other planets. So it'll be super interesting. Just a couple more announcements and then I'm done. I promise I'll get into the presentation. But this, like I said, things are picking up and it's so exciting. I am going to be teaching an in-person astrology class here in Corpus Christi at one of our local yoga studios. So I've been invited. Obviously, it's I'm volunteering my time. I'm not getting paid to do it. I'm just going to take a yoga class and then I'm going to teach them a little bit about astrology. I have about 2 hours, so I don't think I can teach them everything. But I thought what I'd do is teach them about the planets. I would say something like, you are the planets. And then I'd go through each of the planets describing their different personality traits and how they behave in the different signs and houses. So I'm very, very excited to do that. And then my last announcement, the International Sidereal Astrology Association is a brand new organization that is nonprofit that is being developed from the ground up from a few of my colleagues. And I have been asked to do about a 30-minute talk on September 27th. So just mark that in your calendar if you guys want to join that call, listen to my lecture, and learn about this new association. It's something so we can come together as a professional group of people, not just a bunch of nerds like geeking out on astrology or spacing out on astrology. We're actually, trying to promote the field to show people that there is educational opportunities in this, also collaborative opportunities, things like that. So those are my announcements. All right, that's all I have. Let's see, we have 22. That is awesome. All right, let's see who else is joining. We have Seeking Truth. Sprout Queen's here. Awesome. So good to see all of you. Thank you guys for coming. You ready for some Venus? This is going to be good. I do want to, let's see. I want to show you the Venus video that I show you every time I do a Venus transmission, because when we look at how Miss Venus moves, it's just stunning. It's amazing. There's code there. There's symmetry. There's mathematics. And I think if we can appreciate this together, it'll make more sense. So let me put my volume down and let me play this for you. So in the center is Earth. Here is the sun. Here is Venus. We are looking at this from a geocentric perspective. So in other words, the Earth is the frame of reference. Earth stays still, everything else moves. And that's really how we see the world, right? It's literally from our perspective. So just watch what happens over the course of an 8-year period. So you'll see the sun go around 8 times. So there was one orbit of the sun, and then every time you see one of these loops, this is Venus retrograde. And we just did this big time in Pisces. They happen in different constellations. The last one in 2023 was in Leo. And I believe the next one will be in Virgo. I have to check. But do you see what's being traced out here in this 8-year cycle? You're getting an almost perfect, and I say almost perfect because it's like 2 or 3 degrees off when it comes back. But, for an 8-year cycle, this is pretty interesting. You get this 5-pointed star, that perfect pentacle, perfect pentagram that we drew as children. And so we have this 5-pointed star. We have this done in 8 Earth years. And I don't know if you counted how many times Venus went around the sun, but that number is 13. Okay. And every time Venus is doing this retrograde loop, the same face of Venus faces Earth. So it's like they meet every 20 months during this cycle, facing one another, sister planets, literally. This is the closest any planet in the entire solar system gets to Earth, unless it's not supposed to be here. So it's so close, in fact, that while microscopic compared to the moon's gravity, Venus's gravity affects Earth's tides when she's in that retrograde motion. The human body is made of water, 70%, 80% water. And your limbic system is bathed in water. And so those moon's orbits, these Venus orbits, these Mercury ins and outs, they affect us, they move us, they sway us. So I love sharing that because you get this 5-8-13 pattern, which is directly related to the Fibonacci sequence. Those are the first few numbers that you get when you calculate the Fibonacci sequence. So, for me, it just makes total sense to think of it like that, and to think of how Venus, which is spirit into matter, it's the divine thought becoming matter. Like whatever idea you have, whatever thought you have, they become matter through this principle of Venus. So we're going to take a look at her transits. These new ones that are coming are going to be so good. We're outside right now and we're looking up at the sky. So what I want to do, since we have a morning star Venus right now, I want to just dim the atmosphere a little bit, and let's put in our familiar constellations and art, and we'll zoom in just to get our bearings. We have Sun in Aries. So for those of you that study tropical, this is going to be a weird conversation for you because you think that all of that eclipse energy happened in Aries when it didn't. It happened over here in Pisces. It happened in your sign of Aries, but your sign of Aries is placed over top of Pisces, just like the month of March is over top of Pisces. But Pisces has always been here and always will be here. And that's where the sun was. That's where Venus is right now. So we have Sun in Aries. The sun will transit into Taurus and conjunct Uranus on the 17th, but move into the constellation around the 13th. So within the orb of the conjunction with Uranus. Let's see, Mercury is direct also in Pisces. And here we have that Pisces soup that is breaking up now, which is really, really wonderful to see and to feel. So we're going to watch Venus over the course of the next 5 weeks by just moving this arrow up. This will advance the dates. We'll just watch her. She's going to hit her maximum eastern or maximum western elongation, meaning, I'm sorry, eastern. Actually, I forgot. I'm tired. Sorry. She's going to get the farthest away from the sun right here on May 31st. So I want you to also notice the distance between Venus as I move this map along. So here we go. 4, 5. See how they're separating still? Venus is still in the ascending phase of the morning star. So 1, 2, right here. This is the maximum distance between the sun and Venus during the Venus cycle on this phase of it. And we'll keep going. We're going to go all the way to when she enters into Aries, which is right around the 8th. So this entire transit for Venus from the end of Aquarius to the end of Pisces, the whole 48, 45 degrees of Pisces literally took Venus 4.5 months. She entered in January 26th, right around there, and will be leaving on June 8th. This is a long time to spend in Pisces. And what a powerful transition it went through the planet herself. She came in forward, went all the way to 21 degrees, went back to 5 degrees, mixed with Saturn, mixed with Neptune, mixed with the North Node, with Mercury, uh, all in retrograde with 2 eclipses to emerge once again. Okay. And for me, the archetype that best describes this Venus in Pisces is the white serpent, that white dragon. And not in the baser sense of what dragon, not in the scary sense. This is a more divine, more graceful, more magical energy, inspiring us to create, to dive to places we've never thought we would dive to in our creative processes. And I really feel that. I feel like it's been a very solitary process, but something really beautiful is going to emerge here through the fires of Aries as we move out of Pisces. So I'm really excited to share with you each of these individual energies and how they have been, working with us and what may be coming up. So if you're feeling stuck, like you're adrift, don't worry. I really think that this is going to be the turning point coming up here. So I have some notes here because there's so much. So let me get out of this particular browser. Make sure you guys are still there. You're good. And we'll go into the Venus forecast. All right. Ballpoint. Nope, I want felt tip. Okay, good. All right. So the code of the white serpent. Yeah. So pretty much since, I don't know, January of this year, I keep recalling to this very powerful Zoom drum circle that I participated in, where we were asked to invite a spirit animal in to show us the journey ahead. And the timing couldn't have been more synchronistic, literally, because when I went into the meditative state and I went on that journey, it was the white serpents, the Nagas, that showed up for me and showed me that we're birthing something. I don't know if it's just for me or if it's for the whole collective, but it feels like I need to transmit this. And so that's why I have been sharing with you this analogy, this anthropomorphism of the energy of Venus and Pisces as this white serpent. And when you think of serpentine energy, you think of the Kundalini, you think of chi, you think of prana, that energy that moves through our nadis, that stop at the different chakra levels. Venus is that energy. It's not a force. It is literally something that we allow to rise. When it rises into our heart, we feel love of all creation and of other souls. It's like the Christ compassion in your heart. And then when it rises to the throat chakra, you can't lie. You can't be lied to. The truth comes out. You speak your truth. And then your third eye and crown. It's just an ascension energy that is very pure. It's almost like the ecstasy of birth. So I've been feeling like there's some kind of energy around this. And so let's get into what we're going to talk about today. So we'll talk about Venus past, Venus present, and the coming shift. And then we'll take a quick code break. And then we'll talk about some future transits at the end of the month. So let me know how you guys have been feeling. If you've been feeling, like you've gone through some kind of portal and you're just now getting your bearings back, because that's where I think I am, at least in my creative expression. I feel like there's a little bit of chaos here. I'm not really sure where I'm going next. Just for coding purposes, I wanted to show you the numbers that seem to come up quite a bit in astrology. Whenever I take the planet names or I do the dates or I do certain conjunctions, these numbers seem to fall out. I seem to find the fine structure constant, which is 137. I seem to find phi a lot and pi. Also, the Fibonacci numbers come out. Remember these Venus orbits? And then number 33 also comes out. So you will see this whenever I get excited about something popping up in one of my code breaks or decode breaks. This is why. Because if you look back at my previous work over the last 6 months or so, this comes up a lot. I have a whole playlist on the Mega Decode, where these numbers are coming from. It is stunning how many connections are there. It would probably take me 5 or 6 hours to show you everything that I have found and have displayed so far. So I encourage you to go back, even though the astrology is already over, to go back and try and absorb some of the decoding that I've done around these important dates that Venus has her transits. All right, so Venus passed. So this is the timeline we've been working on with Venus over the last little while. Her cycle started June 4th of 2024. This is the conception. This is when the idea is inseminated, so to speak. The cycle lasts 20 months or 584 days. And so far, we have gone through all of these together. I think some of you have joined me along the way, but this is what we've been watching. And the last event was Venus stationing direct on April 12th. So the next point in her cycle, the next inflection point will be the maximum western. There it is, the western elongation. And we just saw that in the stellarium-web.org. We just saw that movement, that separation. And then afterwards, Venus will begin a very slow descent as the morning star. And then by the time we get to the end of the year, she's going to disappear for about 2 months. And it'll be very, very tough. It'll be the superior conjunction. And this will be the beginning of the next cycle. So obviously the peak is over here. It's the Venus star point. It's when Venus and Sun are in that loop right in front of Earth. And she's the closest to us. It's the most intense energy. And I've been working with a timeline, not necessarily just birth charts, just astrology to confuse you, but to show you the energetic weather from this planet. And I've showed you this graph before. This is the intensity of Venus energy. This graph isn't drawn to scale. In other words, this time frame to this time frame is represented as a short span of time. We have expanded this greatly so that you can see what the retrograde might feel like. We have station retrograde, we have inferior conjunction, station direct, and then we are approaching the maximum western elongation. So we're just over that hump. We're winding down this cycle. We're reaping the what we have sowed in our creative cycles. So whatever you've been inspired to think about, to go down rabbit holes on, to work on, to collaborate with, partnerships, relationships, shoot, even pregnancy, okay? All of that is winding down at this point now. So here is a timeline to show you this blue part is Venus in Pisces, okay? So this is how long she has been in Pisces. Whew. Since January 20th all the way to June 8th. That is a massive amount of time for a personal planet to be in Pisces. Even the sun was only there for 40 days. She got there first, the sun met up with her, and then the sun left her behind. And this is where she did her loop right here. And those of you that have seen me do presentations on Venus this year, you know that we've been counting down by Fibonacci numbers in this spiral pattern towards this singular point, which happened to happen right between two eclipses, a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse. But because we're dealing with concepts like ether and quantum entanglement and superposition and divining things that may or may not happen, we're dealing with fourth dimensional space and time, which means things go forward in time and things go back in time. So you have this spiral reverberation, and I believe it's patterned out in a Fibonacci series. So we're approaching the 55th day of this series from the time we had this Venus star point. The red is retrograde, straight up retrograde, and then the yellow is what we call the shadow period. So Venus went all the way to 21 degrees of Pisces, then reverse course and went to 5 degrees of Pisces, and then will return to 21 degrees of Pisces If you're using the midpoint boundaries, by the way, 21 degrees Pisces, and she will be out of the shadow period. So if you're not already feeling the fog lift, feeling the air clear, so to speak, it's coming. If you're feeling it start, it's going to get even better, I think, by the middle of May in terms of our fire and just being in the murky realm of dreams and serpents and visions and things like this. So that's where we've been. That's kind of where we're going. Let's see. This is the old timeline. I went ahead and made a new one. You'll also see eclipse points in here, and I did discuss those in my lunar codes video and solely lunar unlock your solely lunar cycle. So if you want to watch those two videos, go do that, and you'll understand these points a little bit better. I won't be discussing them in this one. So where's Venus right now? This is the new timeline. So I've just shifted it over a little bit. You can see that we are now the 55 days from the Venus star point is right here. And we have added more dates. So we have 89, 144, and then when we get to 1110, we have 233. So Fibonacci numbers. These are spiral ripples of that Venus energy. There's an exponential increase and then a exponential decrease with spiral-like ripplings. All right. So this was basically mid-March to the end of April. This map right here. I showed this to you on the Venus Direct video. You can see how overwhelmingly intense this was. This is just Venus aspects. This doesn't include Sun, Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter. Only if they're aspecting Venus are they mentioned here in this particular assessment. So this was last month. You can see you've got Venus and Mars in a trine. You have Venus conjunct Neptune. You have Venus conjunct Saturn. You have Venus conjunct the North Node. You have Venus conjunct Mercury. All of that was going on in the middle of Pisces, right? As Venus was retrograde and then stationing direct. So hopefully over these last couple of weeks have been a journey. Lots of shadow work here. A lot of energy coming to the forefront, bubbling up, needing to be dealt with, emotionally purged, things like that. Because you have to remember, even though Venus and Mars have been in a trine, Mars has been in an opposition to Pluto. And that to me has always been just a very purging energy. As Sun has entered Aries, I have just felt the shift. I've felt the lift. It's not so heavy. It's going to get even. It's gotten even better this week, and after this weekend and into next week, it's a complete shift. So let's take a look and see what this looks like. Here is the new calendar. Doesn't that look different? Doesn't that look so much better? Like, oh, God. Like all we have left is Mars and a trine. And Mars will be entering Leo on the 15th. So it'll be not the Cancer Mars we've been sort of dealing with, but the fiery Leo Mars. All right, let's deal with each of these transits one by one so we can see what we're coming out of and see what we're going into. All right, so Venus conjunct Saturn in Pisces. This was basically from mid-March all the way till early next week. And tell me in the chat if you guys have been feeling this. Creative droughts, delays, relationship confrontations, emotional boundaries, abandonment wounds, avoidance, a quiet calling to do something that you really, really, truly love. Let me know if you guys were feeling any of that in your internal world, because I feel like that was so intensely profound and true for me. Pisces wants to dissolve, Saturn wants to define, Venus wants to love, and Saturn's like, well, is it going to last? And so it's hard to be in a mystical place creating something that lasts because you can't have attachments here. So we're dealing with the creating and the letting go, which brings up issues of, like, I think grief, creative grief. Let me know if you guys are feeling that. Saturn in Pisces is spiritual responsibility too. Venus likes the ecstatic. So sometimes that responsibility isn't really her bag. And so she's got to learn here that beauty without boundaries literally becomes delusion. I mean, there were points during this phase of the eclipses and the retrogrades where I wasn't sure if my mind was right. I had to put the computer down for a while and focus on concrete, grounded, normal things for a day or two in order to not be swept up in it. Um, but there's a devotion here to creativity that isn't necessarily so that others can see it. It's literally just a heartfelt devotion to the concrete that supports you. And that commitment includes a little bit of grief. It's maturity without losing your magic. So it's been an interesting transit. I have this natally in my chart, so I am, this is not Venus conjunct Saturn is not an alien energy for me. So I have seen a lot of this around me as well, and I realized that when I was noticing it and feeling compassion with it, I was internalizing that as well. So definitely feeling this. Now, Venus has been in a sextile with Pluto since yesterday, and this will continue through the weekend until May 7th. So, this may be just heating up for some of you. We may feel into this over the next day or two into Monday. Let me know. There might be some power struggles in your relationships. We might be obsessed over our creative expression. We might also be falling into deep, powerful love. This is a sextile that gives you divine purpose almost when Pluto and Venus get together nice like this. Um, Pluto being retrograde, this is why this is a little bit longer too, because Venus met up with Pluto. Pluto is stationing, so the actual transit lasts a little bit longer. Um, this is an amplification for me because when you have a retrograde planet, it's closer to you. It's closer to you, just physically in space. It's a still planet, so we have this stillness of Pluto. Literally, Pluto is standing there at this cusp of retrograde, and it's it's like a it's like pulling that Venus energy in, you know? And this is the gatekeeper of the unseen, and the ruler of legacy and power. So there's something here to be discovered, I think, that will enhance our creativity. So when Venus and Pluto get together like this, it's like picture that white serpent in Pisces standing next to the Lord of the underworld, the Lord of wealth. She doesn't run, she doesn't beg, she just simply opens her eyes and allows, right? So what do we need to release, right? What do you value that is actually born of fear? And can you love without possessing something? Can you create without manipulating? So don't chase it, don't explain it, just witness it. Hold this powerful energy. There is an uncoiling of truth here with this Venus sextile to Pluto. I want to cover the two longer transits, the Venus in Pisces trining Mars. So when we get to 520, Mars is going to move from Cancer to Leo. This will feel very interesting because Mars in Cancer, it's usually considered a debilitated place because the action, the battles turn inward. And I can definitely relate to that. That you have in your own mind when you do something, when you express yourself, you have what for good or bad, you've got expectations. And when they're not met, there's that Martian frustration in there. It's like, oh, I just want to punch something or I just want to destroy something because I'm so angry right now. And that anger is something that cannot be expressed externally if this Mars is in Cancer. It's hard. So it gets internalized. But what's so interesting about this whole trine, it's very supportive. So if you're willing to be vulnerable and open, that intimacy can nurture instead of consuming you. So if you're feeling that frustration rise with Mars in Cancer, the Venus trine is helping tease that out of you. And what a relief. Like if you're trying to be all solitary about it and somebody actually gets you to admit something that you've been dealing with, that you've been holding on to and not sharing, don't you just take a big deep breath like, Yeah, because that's that Mars and Venus in a trine holding space to take action and to witness it, right? The knowing and the witnessing. So we shift our energies from nurturing to passionate as Mars moves into Leo later in the month. This is Mars and Leo is so fun and so joyful. It's a good time. It's a time to go out and do something fun. Something that, might even feel a little bit bad. I think Mars deserves it after transiting through Cancer the last month or so. All right. So this transit has also been both Mars and Neptune, the conjunction and the trine have been going on since mid-March. Everything has been. So the Mars will go all the way to the end of the month. The Neptune conjunction is going to end right at the full moon. And you may notice, guys, I didn't say this in the beginning, that my transit orbs, the lines are longer than what you might see in the software. And that's because I use a larger orb. I let Venus influence come a little bit sooner. If you feel into it a little bit sooner, you can ride the creativity wave a little bit easier. So my orb is about 7 degrees, which is why the transits last a lot longer. So at any rate, we're leaving Neptune. Venus is leaving the orb of Neptune and getting closer and closer to exiting shadow period. The sun is entering Taurus. We had this is a moment of shift right here when the conjunction in Neptune ends. But during this whole time, this has also been contributing to this very strange portal that we've been going through. There's like a soul level longing on top of everything else. Like, so you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to see in the dark, but you want something, even though you can't quite put your finger on it. And I literally put my book together during this whole time, and it was a surge of creativity that was really difficult to deal with. I actually missed appointments with clients. I slept in. I didn't keep a schedule. It was a very strange time for me. Um, if you are having an attraction moment with someone right now, that relationship could be idealized, and as we go through this shift, the rosy colored goggles may come off as well. That person may not seem as beautiful as you once thought they were. There's also been an invitation to merge with something bigger than the self. But in the creative realm, especially in the creative work that I've been doing, fantasy becomes form, the idea becomes human, and the divine is not separate from you. I've been working a lot on release during this conjunction, during Venus's transit and retrograde through here. Like just not caring about being so much in control of things. And getting that book published was a perfect example of that. There were so many parts of it that I wanted to control that I could not. And I know it sounds like I'm probably whining, but when you're trying to refine yourself spiritually, you constantly run into sides of yourself that inhibit you from evolving. And the whole process for me was bumping up into those walls, letting go of things and being able to overcome them through the dissolving, not through doing anything, but by literally letting go. So all right, let's see who. Yeah, okay. Good. All right, let's see what's next. Oh, we have a shift. So this full moon, I think, is when we'll see it. This full moon's going to be in Libra, and I gave you a picture so that you could show your friends and prove it to them. If they don't believe you, you can see this full moon right here on May the 12th. And there it is in a chart at 9 degrees of Libra if you're using the midpoints. So let's talk about this energy. What is this going to feel like? Now, remember, this is a moon-sun opposition, and if you think about the sun as the highest expression of your spiritual self, and everything that your light projects onto reflects back to you, the moon is that reflection energy. It's the feminine, it's the intuitive, it's your emotional side. And so we have a mirror here. We have a Libra uh, Aries mirror. And This is balance. This is traditionally one of Venus's signs. Like you can assign Venus as the ruler of Libra. I like her in Virgo, and I like Mercury here. But whatever, for Venus purposes for our forecast, you can say this is a Venus ruled sign, and that's fine because balance and harmony are a small part of what Venus does. So where will you lose yourself in others? Where are you holding too much? See, the messages just keep coming back. It's like there's a balance that you want to try to achieve within yourself during this lunar cycle. And I've told you guys before that the full moon isn't really where you should be focusing your attention when you're doing lunar cycles. It should be at the beginning of the lunar cycle when it is a new moon. So on April 27th, wherever this lunation is beginning for you, for example, this is a 10th house lunation for me. So this full moon, I'm going to look at it as what is culminating and what is blossoming in and around the space where I work, the space where I lead. Okay. All right. So I think this is a turning point, but I don't think it's going to be abrupt. I think it's going to be gentle, just like everything else that has been in Pisces going on. And as the sun moves into Taurus, that's always really nice energy. So we have a Venus centered full moon from a Aries sun that's just about to move into Venus's sign. So I think this is a gentle turnstile for our creative energy, a chance for us to focus it, to actually ground it in the physical with the sun there. The sun will be very, very helpful in helping us pull those earthly energies toward us. So that's that full moon. We'll watch for that. I'll probably have a decode on it and do all the aspects that go with it. But let's look at the sun here moving into uh, Taurus conjunct Uranus. This is a powerful conjunction. The research that I did to create that video, that Sun Uranus cycles video, it's divine metamorphosis is what it's called. I talk about this aspect. So if you have this in your chart, this is really, really interesting energy. But this is the gate for the sun to go through into Taurus. I think we had to go through all of those weird things, those weird energetic, spiritual energies in Pisces, because we need to be creative. We need to be ready for the unexpected as the sun passes over Uranus. And as you guys listen, what I'm telling you is Uranus in Taurus, this is a once in a lifetime span of time, a decade, once in a lifetime decade, where we get to bring unique and individual ideas into the physical faster than ever before. Things can change like crazy. You got to be nimble here. And I think if we watch this sun cycle, we get to take at least 11 or 12 laps with the sun in aspect to Uranus during this next 12 years. And each time we cycle around, we get to evolve with it. And so if you know your chart really well, and then you can watch this cycle as well, you can navigate this Uranus through Taurus and come out the other side better than you were before. That's what I want for all of you. And that's what I want you to see when you see these transits, not as something that's challenging, but something that's asking you to move forward and evolve and change. All right, who wants to take a little code break and see what's happening in the mega timeline? Real quick, though, my future self wanted to interrupt this broadcast and see if you guys were interested in doing a Venus reading. This is my Venus forecast. This is my flagship reading. It's more than 90 minutes. You guys probably get almost 2 hours of just a mini podcast on your Venus from me. I do your whole chart, and then we read the chart from Venus's perspective. And then we look at what Venus is doing for 3 months. These take me a lot of time to get together, but I really enjoy doing them. And I love reading people's Venus because when you can tap into this subtle energy and know exactly where you are in the cycle, it's powerful. It's powerful. So I encourage you to check that out. It's on sale right now. Here's the timeline that we're working with. So we're going to zoom into this day 55 right here. And we're also going to zoom into 531 because that is an inflection point in the astronomical cycle. And here we have a vibratory ripple spiraling out from the Venus star point from March 22nd, the 55th Fibonacci day. So let's zoom in. When we type in Venus retrograde into a phi cipher, meaning it uses all of the digits of the string of phi and associates it with letters of our alphabet, if we type that in there, we get the number 55, which I just think is really cool synchronicity. Like, okay, Venus has just finished her every 20-month retrograde, a very powerful portal. We saw it coming months ago, and the 55th Fibonacci number is Venus retrograde. If you go to Chaldean numerology cipher, it's a little bit different. The numbers are assigned based on the vibrations of certain letters, and coiled serpent, which is the white serpent, the chi, the prana, is also 55. We can analyze the date 5/16 of 2025, and we get the number 21, which is a Fibonacci number, by the way. If you take Nagas, which is the half human, half serpent deities of the Hindu religion, you get 21. Scandium is an element, number 21 in our periodic table, which is so fun because the pictures come up synchronistically and you can look at their atomic mass and make other associations. So we have the date being tied to the Nagas. The 21st element is scandium. And look at this picture. This literally is a Nagas. It may not be from Hindu religion, but it's the idea of someone becoming a godlike form because they are tapped into their coiled serpent energy and their creative force. Okay. So I just found that super interesting. Another thing you can do with numbers, which is really fun, I love playing with these, is subidiom.com is an irrational number search engine. So the irrational numbers like E and phi and pi, you can find out where digits are in that string through this search engine. So I put 45 in there and I got 21, which is literally, so we have two keys, which is the subidium and the periodic table, which both just confirm, that we should be using the phi cipher, and then 21, of course, is a phi number or a Fibonacci number. And if you even spell phi, you get 21. So this is what I run into when I do my decoding. It's just these numbers are so connected to the energy, to the words, and when you find it, you just laugh. I'm not even shocked anymore. I'm just like, of course it does. Of course it's connected. Why wouldn't it be? If you spell Fibonacci, you get 45. And white Nagas is also 45. So this is what I have been bringing through here these last few months for this Venus and Pisces energies. You can also take the date and grab a birth card. So scan this real quick for your own birthday, and that way you know what your birth card is. And then you can go to It's All in the Cards or the Cards of Illumination and look up the meaning of these cards. It's very useful. So like, for example, I am the 9 of diamonds for August 4th. So Monette says her birthday is 5/21. Oh, that's cool. So you have a Fibonacci birthday and your birth card would be, let me move that over. You are the Queen of Clubs. No, Jack of Clubs. Jack of Clubs. So at any rate, this day has a card and it is the 3 of diamonds. Each of these cards are assigned a corresponding number. So it gives us kind of another key that we can use to unlock the codes behind these dates. Copper is the 29th element in our periodic table. And I don't know if you all know this, but Venus's element is copper. Anytime you look up the alchemical metal of planet Venus, it'll be copper. They would say in mythology that her hair was made of copper. So copper is ruled by Venus in classical alchemy and astrology. So it's all Venusian themes. Copper is also very conductive, not just of electrical energy, but also of spiritual energy. So it can be linked to fertility, magnetism, and creative flow. Copper jewelry is really good for energy. You put a certain type of jewelry on your body, and it helps channel certain energies. So copper is a big deal, definitely Venusian. You can also take the date or the day of the year from this handy chart, And I don't know if you guys can see this right off the bat, but when I went to May 16th, I was like, oh, look at that. There's the fine structure constant right there in the middle of what we're looking at. So I pulled that out just for emphasis. See, I'm telling you, these things just sort of show up when I'm just sort of seeing, just going down little rabbit trails just to see what might be there. And bam, there it is. Watch this. Okay, this is fun. So I'm back at Subidium, but this time instead of using the 5 string of digits, I am using the pi string of digits. And I just wanted to see where 29 showed up. And it shows up at the 713th decimal digit. Now in numerology, you can interpose digits. So this is the same as 137. I mean, if you don't like that week, I can do you one better. 713 is the 317th decimal digit of pi, or of phi, sorry. So 29 is 713 in pi, and then 713 is 317 in phi. So just reeling the phi back in. If you're not impressed with that, I get it, because you're moving numbers around. That doesn't seem fair, but look at this. 317 is the 137th decimal digit of the golden ratio string. So there you go. It's all tied together. And then, of course, 137 is the 33rd prime number. So there's our 33 again. Pi and phi together are 33. Let's look at the next date on here. So here we have the maximum western elongation of Venus, the maximum distance between Venus and Sun. And you can cherry pick the dates a little bit. I did it individual numbers, but I really liked combining it because I got the number 81 and it took me right to these concepts. The morning star maximum. Just typing those words. This is the energy that we're looking. We're looking at an astronomical phenomenon. So the morning star maximum just happens to be 108. There's 2 reasons why this is interesting, because you can, number 1, take out the 0, flip the digits around, and you're very synchronous with 81. Okay, that's stretching it a little bit, but that's what you can do in numerology. It's totally legal. What I wanted to do was just take 81 and put it in the phi string of digits, and I freaking get 33. So I was like, all right, that's really beautiful. Let's see what else comes up with 108. Well, for me, I immediately recall the star that we saw at the beginning of this video, right? Remember I showed you that YouTube short where the Venus and Sun and Earth were in their dance and they're creating this beautiful star pattern? Well, I wanted to, oh man, this guy right here. But Rebirth is 33 and Dragon is 33. So these energies are tied to this day as well. The movements, the cycles, the flow, the ebbs of Venus energy. This is the star. This is one of the angles in that star that we create right here, 108. 72 is the element hafnium, and you have stars and moons on that picture. And then this angle is 36 all the way around. So we have 36, 72, and 108 are related to this particular star pattern. One other cool thing about this star, geometrically speaking, is if you take this length here from this point to this point, and you take this point from this point, let's go ahead and compare those points. You put them together, you get the golden ratio. Like, it doesn't matter how big or how small you draw that star, that proportion exists at all sizes. So there's that ratio again. You don't even need the Fibonacci sequence to see this play out. So there's the star, which is related to phi. So now we're going to talk about Venus's future. We have a few more transits to talk about as this full moon comes, as the sun moves into Taurus, as we get into the more normal part of Venus's cycle, things will start moving along like they normally do. So we've just covered day 55, and we've also covered the maximum western elongation here and here. This is when Venus will hit 21 degrees of Pisces again. So we're out of shadow right here. So you can see there's a couple of events, but mostly the only thing really is the shift with the full moon and the sun. And then we continue with our trine to Mars and day 55, and then out of shadow period. Now there's this fresh new phase of energy coming. I hope you can appreciate that, how all of this is ending and we're putting all this behind us. And now we're moving into some sort of future new energy. And I think it has a lot to do. Number one, we have healing with Chiron. We have Jupiter with expansion. We have Mars with action, ending. We have Black Moon Lilith with creativity. We have Asteroid Lilith with intuition and freedom. And then we've got Pluto in a square here, getting to the raw truth of things. So let's break these down, and then that will be our forecast. So here we have Venus in Pisces conjunct Chiron from May 23rd until June 8th. So here's what you might experience during this transit. There's like a deep ache for connection that feels ancient and untraceable, an emotional sensitivity that defies explanation or logic. There's also going to be a resurfacing of wounds around abandonment, worth, or spiritual longing. Anyone born in 1972 to 1975, are you having your Chiron return right now? You poor thing. Yeah, so this is feeling, so you're going to have Venus and Chiron conjunct over your natal Chiron during this transit if you're in your Chiron return right now. This should bring a little bit of creative expression that feels good. It should actually bring some softness to the profound healing that you've been doing and the integrating that you've been going through. So I'm really looking forward to this. So, but I think it requires a little bit of vulnerability to understand that whatever it is you're creating, it might not be perfect. Like my book is going to have typos, and it's going to have parts of it that people don't understand. And I might even get some criticism about it. And I perfectly expect that during this time frame. So, this is being like, okay with it not being perfect and not reaching everyone the way I, envision or imagine that it might. And so you find beauty in those broken places. Perhaps someone who received the book and they didn't like it, or they give it a bad review, there may be some healing going on for them that has been tapped into because they've read those words. And that's also just as valuable and just as graceful. So remember that we are not just seeking the divine, we are the divine. We are healing through this divine work that we do by getting in flow with our creativity, by being okay with not being perfect, and by realizing that when we are who we are, those that will love and support us will remain by our sides, and those that were not there to be a part of our journey will fade away. And that's how it's supposed to work, and that's what Chiron can do. So then we'll have the new moon during this transit. Remember, we still have that Mars trine Venus. So it's all very personal, I think. I think we're going to go through some personal stuff. But wow, look at this new moon. You want to talk about focusing on new moons, guys? You're going to have Mercury, Moon, Sun, and Uranus. You thought we had a Pisces soup. Well, now we have a Taurus soup. And we have a new cycle. The full moon for this cycle is going to be an Ophiuchus. And look at where the sun and moon are starting. They're starting at 13 degrees of Taurus in the midpoint boundaries. So boom, I'm not even trying to decode this day right now. And look, it's already saying, come decode me, because it's 13, which is the 13th sign, which is Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus is 48. Higher self is 48. Mother is 33. Rebirth is 33. Dragon's 33. If you spell 13 in the Phi cipher, you also get 33. So all these numbers just pop out. Anyway, I'll stop doing that. Let's read about this new moon. See what comes out here. So this is the seed beneath the silence. I don't know how silent this will be, though, with Mercury there. I think there's some very, very chatty energy. What's happening here also with this new moon is Mercury is in a superior conjunction with the sun. This is where we are really mindful about what we want to create. This is a setting intention time. So you get a new Mercury cycle on top of a new lunar cycle, on top of a new Sun-Uranus cycle. all starting right there in the stars of the Pleiades. So it's like there's this cosmic transmission, this code from an alien source, that's coming down and being uh, solidified or concretized into our existence. There's something foreign coming in for us. Some kind of download. It could be an upgrade. Who knows? But it's coming from the Pleiades. Man, that's so interesting. It's really important during this time, during especially the cycle being grounded in Taurus, to like ground your body. Like, where do you feel things in your body when something triggers you or asks you to change? Do you feel that someplace? This is how you get ahead of illnesses, of being stuck in the healthcare system, because you're monitoring how your energetics feels in your body. And when you can do that, you can make adjustments to the energetics first before they affect your body. And I think that's the key here to this whole Uranus and Taurus energy. Venus is also going to be sextiling Jupiter. This is probably one of the most blessed transits that we will have during this whole month. I love it when Venus and Jupiter get together. There's so much potential here for expanding your creativity, just with the basic keywords. But Jupiter attains enlightenment through optimism, through faith, through abundance, and through generosity. I think when Jupiter aspects Venus like this so nicely, there's an opportunity for being generous. So whatever it is in your heart that you feel like you're hanging on to, try something completely different and crazy and just give it away. Like you don't even care. Like you don't even care if you keep it. That is the purest generosity, where you have no attachment to something and you're willing to just give it to them. Like somebody looks at your necklace or your earrings, for example, and you say, "Here, they're yours," and you just give them away. Or, someone likes your t-shirt or your jacket or your sweater, and you just give it to them. Just things like that, little things like that, little bits of generosity right there will really open you up creatively, believe it or not. It feels like it wouldn't be cause and effect, but it is. So it's almost as if the more you give, the more you expand, the more expansion can take place. And it's like the blessing before the threshold. And the reason this is a blessing before the threshold is because during this transit, you will see we are losing our connection to Mars, that pleasant connection, and we're going to pick up an opposition to the black moon and a sextile to the asteroid and then a square to Pluto. The Lilith energy, you guys, reminds me of a combination of Venus and Pluto anyway. So when we get through the end of May and into the early part of June, this is more of a jolting shift, I feel like, because it happens at the very critical degrees of Pisces as Venus is about to move into Aries. So just when you thought you have mastered all of this Pisces energy, there may be some kind of jarring energy that quote unquote wakes you up and moves you into the fires of Aries. So for this Jupiter transit, I would use squeeze every drop you can out of that transit. Like receiving without guilt, creating from fullness, not to prove anything, seeing beauty as a sacred investment. This is really cherishing and having gratitude for the things around you. So trust in life, root yourself, ground yourself for sure during this time. Because like I said, if you haven't been doing the work, this week might be tough. This first week in June. Okay. Shame, rage, fear, everything that's connected to our femininity, sexuality, our deep creative wellspring that's suppressed and untamed may come up and come out here. I'm not kidding. So they often come out in relationships because that's where we're the most vulnerable. So you want to gird your relationships. If you have tender, new, or shaky relationships, things can get shooken up here in this space, in this type of energy. You may feel like you're unseen, unchosen, undervalued. Lilith is going to make you feel that way and make you speak up about it. So you're going to begin to reject being passive. You're going to begin to reject being sacrificing. You're going to reject being humble when you don't feel humble. Like somebody says, "Hey, good job." You can say, "Don't I know it? Don't I freaking know it?" You're going to feel better about being like that with this energy as well. There's a bravery here. There's a willingness to put it all out there. It's just the fear that we have to overcome, the shame that we have to overcome. So you need to reclaim any expression that once made you feel like you were too much. You are never too much. You are just enough. You are freaking absolutely 100% perfect. So say the hard truths, even if you have to say them to yourselves, and create without permission, without filters, without apologies. Just go for it. The fire of Aries is you're about to jump in there anyway with both feet, so go for it. The energy's supporting you. But if you haven't been doing your work through Pisces, that shadow work, getting down to the core of limiting beliefs and things that are holding you back from your evolution, your expression, this may be a little bit jarring. There may be something that makes you do that. Not that it's a bad thing. That's what it's here for. That's literally what it's here for you to evolve. Now, the sextile is a little bit of a nicer energy with Venus. There's going to be clarity here. There's going to be an energy of like inspiration and an aha moment. There might be a moment where you are empowered also. So let's say, for example, somebody triggers you in one way and you've finally had it. You're going to lay it out. You're just going to say, you know what? I am worth more than how you're making me feel right now. And I'm not going to take it. I'm going to dismiss you for making me feel that way. And I'm going to move on with my day. And God bless you. So, yeah, this is an alignment type of energy rather than get away from me. I hate the way you make me feel. It's more like, God bless you. You're not allowed in this space. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference there. There's a difference in the way that energy vibrates. So you're going to be really tapped in if you're ready for this, if you're ready to jump in with both feet here into Aries, you're going to be committing to your craft, your creationship, your relationship, whatever it is you're creating from a full truth. Like you're going to be truly authentic and sharing that. So you want to create systems that protect your energy also, but will also enhance your impact. And then you want to express the feminine through wisdom, dignity, and long range vision. So this is also acting you not to be histrionic and overly emotionally expressive with how you are feeling. It is taking control of that. It is stepping into power here. When we don't step into power, we feel like we have none. And when you feel like you have no power, that is your precise invitation to do so. So here's the square. Here's how we end this month. I'm so sorry. But like I said, we're building up to this. We're watching these energies coming, so we're going to be ready for it. I mean, I don't know if anybody could have been ready for that immense wave of Piscean energy that we just went through, but I feel like I was as ready as I could be, as I could have been, and I feel like it's benefited me. But jealousy, possessiveness, manipulation, withdrawal, these are all energies that should throw up red flags for you and tell you that you're not where you need to be. So, you're also going to be judging yourself. You're also going to be scared of your own power. You may be denying. I don't know why the audio is dropping out. Yeah, every second. Sometimes it does that because whenever I get excited or start reading a good energy, I know it's working because I'll get a little bit warm around my neck and head, and then the microphone will cut out. So it could just be the vibration of my voice. So yeah, there's going to be a need to transform your connections or walk away from it. That's the key. How do you do that? You'll be empowered with these Liliths to do so, I think. You want to own your own creative power. You don't want to be owned by it. And you want to transform through this creation. It strips you bare. It makes you holy. Control versus surrender. Well, okay, I can look at my mic and see if, let me check that real quick. We're almost to the end, though. That's what's so good. Let's see. It's okay. I'm checking it. I'm checking it. Switching microphones, muting on and off. Okay. All right. The matrix is glitching because I'm getting into it. Let me close some other things on my computer because that could be also it. I seem to notice that it does that whenever I get into it. Okay. All right. Let's see. Sprout Queen says it's fine on my end. It could be my connection, although my my antenna's pretty good. Let me stop sharing and share again. Let's see what that looks like on YouTube. Let's see. Yeah, no, I've seen it do that before. I'm not really sure. Let's see. It's been happening for 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for letting me know because sometimes I don't know that that's happening. All right. Let's see. It's hard. No, I've seen it do that before. I'm not really sure. Okay. It sounds okay. All right. I am going to finish this presentation for you guys because I think it's better. We're almost there. We were getting into the good part there. Ending this month with Pluto. I don't know. Some people are saying they can hear it and some people are saying they can't. So maybe restart your end. I'm going to just wrap it up because this is the last slide. And then we will just be on here. All right. Actually, we have a couple more slides. So let's talk about Venus opposing Black Moon Lilith. Again, I think I did all these already. Yeah. I think the summary we did should be fine. We should be able to close this up. Let's just go into the last bit of energy here. This is when Venus is going to enter into Aries. So as she leaves Pisces and crosses into Aries on June 7th, the white serpent becomes the white flame. I think I might call her the white dragon this time. I don't know, or maybe the red dragon. The muse who once whispered in dreams now speaks with clarity and courage. What was once subtle and emotional and unseen becomes direct, embodied, and undeniable. This is the birth of new desire, not to merge, but to move. Venus in Aries does not wait for permission. She creates, she claims, she begins. Okay. Yeah, it always happens at a good part. That's okay. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening to the presentation. If you want to hang out for a minute or so, we can do some questions. I can read some of your comments. You can go to dakota.co if you want the sources for the cards and the dates under resources, or not Dakota, but Cosmic Sugar. Just go to resources and download it there. Dakota.co is the cipher website that you can go to with over 100 different ciphers. Logan of Decode Your Reality and Jordan of Waters Above Crypto created that website for us to do that. So go and use it, play with it, put your words in, and see what comes up for you. It's super interesting. Number Empire will give you all the information you want to know about a number. Subidium will find you the strings and the irrational digits. And the Royal Chemistry Society and Chemspeller are fun for using the elements as a cipher. I use Capricorn Prometheus for my astrology. And of course, Source is my main source. So we will conclude the presentation. And then maybe that will help with the jitteriness of It could be Restream too. Sometimes when I want to just do a recording, Restream will cut in and out. And I don't know why it does that, but at any rate, let's see who is here hanging out with us. All right. Azteca Fitness. She joined late. That's okay. Ultimus was just lighting up my phone, saying that I was cutting out. Hopefully it's better. Let's see. Mostly just sound discussions. Yeah, Monette's going to be 20, going to have a birthday, a solar return this month. That's great. Chet Davis from California is here. Kake is here from Southeast Texas. Declank Von Ock says the naughty, sarcastic, ironic in Mars, in roaring in Leo. Yeah. Mars and Leo, if you have Mars and Leo, you're going to be a very healthy person. It's a very strong energy. Ooh, Didgeridoo's here. Hello, Didgeridoo. Good to see you. Declank Van Onk says grief is where the key is. Yes, yes, yes. I think that's really important. I think when you're going through a transformation, you know, everyone always talks about what's at the other end of it. But in the middle of it is the grief because you're not doing what you were doing before. And that's a very real emotion. And it kind of has, we suppress it for some reason. And well, I know why we do, because it doesn't feel good. And then we literally feel it later in the weirdest of certain circumstances and situations. Monday Born Mentality says, I've been definitely transiting through a creative portal. Yeah, me too. So many. Lady Spellbreaker says, Mercury just transited my Mercury in Pisces conjunct Eris. This has been a wild ride and the craziest birthday I've ever had. I can't wait for Venus to get a move on and out of Pisces too. Yeah, normally this is not a bad space for Venus. It's kind of like a time out for her whole entire creative cycle where you get to go inward and meditate and just sort of get all your creative juices flowing. But literally to enter in January, go retrograde for 6 weeks, go back the other way, hang out with Mercury retrograde, go through some eclipse portals was a lot. It was a lot of Pisces energy, almost too much. Brian Hardy says, I wonder if there's a way to figure out which loop of this cycle. Like, I wonder how powerful the last point would be before a new one starts. Yeah, we are now on the declining phase of the Venus cycle. So if the conception was June 4th, when she was superiorly conjunct to the sun on the other side of the sun, that's where the conception, sperm meets the egg, the idea of inspiration comes through. Then the Venus star point, the peak of the retrograde, March 22nd, is like the birth. The point up to that is the gestation, the pregnancy, the swelling, and then, or think of a dandelion, right? Like a dandelion starts off as a little sprout, and then it grows and it creates the big plume. Well, on March 22nd is when everything began to disperse. So that's how you can think of the larger Venus cycle. It's time to reap what we've been sowing. You can also begin the process of purging and planting new seeds, especially after the Western elongation. So, did you guys see how hot I got? Like when I start talking about the good stuff, so crazy. Ultimus says Mercury and migraines. Yeah, retrogrades. I think that could be a thing. Migraines. It just means that maybe you're not connecting with. Maybe there's messages coming in that you're not connecting with. That could be possible. All right. Monette said, I just found you. I'm super excited that I found your channel. Well, I am super excited that you're here. Mars and yeah, you have Mars and Leo. That's a very healthy Mars. I've heard Mars and Leo like nicotine and caffeine. Like those are their substances. Kaki says, oh, hey, Stephen Burns is anticipating something around the 16th and the 17th. What's your take? I think that gentleman's channel is a unique and wonderful creative vision. And I think he's probably the only one on YouTube that is organically growing virally, at least in the people that I watch. And I think it's just because he blends he's trying to do what I'm doing, like blending the spiritual with the scientific, and I love that. But yeah, he's doing weather. I mean, he's doing weather. I don't know, and the sun is very chaotic. It's hard to predict what will happen. He uses tropical astrology. I think I can sense in him that he wants to break out of it and use the actual sky, but he's probably like a lot of people who have tropical astrologer friends, and he's, doesn't want to step on their toes. But overall, I like what he presents. I think the 15th and the 16th and the 17th are days 136, 137, and 138 of our calendar year. That's one thing. And then also it's day 55 of the Venus spiral. So yeah, energetically, there's some data points there that connect with the 15th and the 16th and the 17th. So cool. All right. Well, I love giving y'all the Venus. I think we'll be live later this week, probably maybe like Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not sure what I want to talk about yet, but I have a few days here, so I'll think about it. All right, y'all. It's been a pleasure. I enjoy you so much. Please like the video. Please share it if somebody needs this information. Please join the channel. Please get a membership. Gift someone a membership if you're already a member. And I will see you guys next week. All right. I'm going to give you the same outro as we did for the intro, so you guys can just bliss out on some Venus.